over the heads of innocent Palestinian men, women and children, killing them in their tens of thousands, murdering them. And we're here because at a very simple level, we do not think that in Australia we should be manufacturing weapons that are killing tens of thousands of innocent people. That's why we're here. And yet what we will find time and again is that the major parties will attempt to paint us as the radicals, paint us as the unreasonable ones. But I would claim, and I would put it to everyone here and everyone across the country, that the real radicals are the ones that can watch the genocide unfolding in Gaza right now, the ones watching Israel carry out a manufactured and engineered famine, seeing babies die in their parents' arms, unable to summon the energy to breathe anymore, where we watch Israel carry out a carpet bombing of hospitals, schools, bakeries, refugee camps, killing people and murdering them in their tens of thousands, can see all of that happen and decide what they're going to do is allow the export of more weapons to carry out that genocide. They are the radicals. And yet there is a movement for peace building across the world. And the events over the last few days demonstrate just how important that movement for peace is. Because again, it is everyone here and millions of people across the world who have come out time and again and said, and demanded an immediate and permanent ceasefire. Demanded, like the Greens have done in Parliament time and again, a ban of weapons trade with Israel. Where we've come out and said, stop the genocide, because the reality is there is one movement right now across the world who are demanding peace, who are demanding an end to the killing, an end to the engineered famine, a free Palestine. And we know that if we were successful, and if we are successful in winning those demands, then we make peace in this world far more likely. The real ones, the ones who are pushing for war, pushing for more death and destruction, a less safe world, are those who continue to back in Israel and arm them and support them and fund them. And we saw this hypocrisy at its height recently with the murdering of the Australian aid workers and aid workers from the World Kitchen. Because we know that the drones that murdered those aid workers, like they have thousands of Palestinians, were manufactured by Elbit Systems. And we know that in February, the federal Labor government signed a $917 million contract. And so really, it should be a national scandal that the drones that murdered those aid workers ultimately controlled by Israel, that murdered them, were produced by a company that Labor wants to give nearly $1 billion to. And so, this is just one part of a giant movement for peace building across the world. And you should all be so exceptionally proud of yourselves, because let me tell you, the tide is turning. Not so much amongst our world leaders just yet, but certainly amongst the broader population. I have lost count of the number of times that I have been walking through the community and people have come up to me who've said, we got an email last week, I'm a previous Liberal voter. I've never voted for anyone else other than in my life, and I'll never be voting for Labor or Liberal again because of their support of the genocide in Gaza. I've spoken to lifelong Labor and Liberal voters, people who have never thought they would shift their vote before at all, who have watched in horror on television as this genocide unfolds and have said, I'm coming. Some of them have even come to the rallies. They're never supporting the major parties again. There is a groundswell of support building at the moment. And every time you're made to feel like you're in the minority, every time you're made to feel like you're the radicals, every time you're made to feel hopeless, like there's nothing you can do, that's exactly what they want you to feel. They want you to feel like you're on your own. They want you to feel like you're hopeless, there's nothing you can do, and no matter how many times you come to protests like this, no matter how many times you come and blockade Farah, no matter how many times you go to a rally and demand an immediate ceasefire, an end to weapons trade with Israel, a free Palestine, that there's nothing really that has an effect at all. But you are helping to build a groundswell of support across this country for peace and a free Palestine. It is every time you've come to a rally, every time you've come to an event like this, every time you've shared stuff online, every time you've done anything, any conversation you've had in the community is helping to build a groundswell of support. Do not stop now. Don't stop now, because it is starting to shift. Public opinion is starting to shift, and I'll tell you why it is starting to shift. Because ordinary, everyday people, regardless of their political background, they know right from wrong. When they see 13,000 children murdered, they know that's wrong. When they see 33,000 people killed by bombs indiscriminately dropped on dense, populated neighbourhoods, they know that's wrong. When they see hospitals bombed, they know that's wrong. When they see an engineered famine, where they know that food, but medical supplies, anaesthetics for women giving birth are being blocked from getting into a population of 1.9 million people, they know that's wrong. And the only people who don't seem to know that that's wrong are the people in power right now. But they are increasingly isolated, increasingly out of step with broad public opinion. And it is our job to represent that broad public confidence, to give them hope that on behalf of the millions of Palestinians being persecuted and murdered and starved, that there are people across the world that are giving them a voice. And that's what you're doing here today. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you. And the only guarantee I can give you is every week in Parliament, no matter what else is happening, we will move, like we did at the last week of Parliament, to end weapons trade with Israel, to call for a permanent ceasefire. We will do everything we can in Parliament to help be your voice, but we cannot do it alone. Because all we're really doing is standing up and giving voice in Parliament to the thousands, hundreds of thousands and millions of people across the world who are demanding peace. The only way we can do that is if you keep showing up to events like this. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. And the only guarantee I'll give you going forward is we'll keep rocking up to things like this. We'll keep calling for an end of all weapons trade with Israel, including Elbit Systems contract, operations like Farah, death machines that are killing tens of thousands of people. What a national shame it is that this is operating in Australia. Calling for a permanent and immediate ceasefire, free Palestine. We should be, and by the way, rather than giving $917 million to Elbit Systems, why are we giving $917 million to the Palestinians who are currently starving to death? Like that, if that doesn't sum up how broken our political system is, that Labor is more likely to give $1 billion to Elbit Systems, the company that butchered those aid workers, including an Australian, than they are to aid, then I don't know what is. So thank you everyone today. We'll keep fighting, and we'll keep fighting until we get a free Palestine and peace and an immediate ceasefire. So thank you everyone.